Raj, there's Rob, and there's Charles.
Yep.
Good morning.
And on the line we have Congressman Michael Guest. So good morning, Congressman.
Good morning, gentlemen. Great to talk to you again.
Yes,
sir.
Pleasure's ours.
Thank you for being here this morning, and of course, things kind of fun up there in the Washington D.C. area there. Did you? I don't know if you knew this, but you could have run for president. You don't even have to go through a primary process.
That's right. Look, they just pull a name out of a hat, and whoever's name is selected is going to be their nominee.
Right.
But you're right. You know, a lot has happened. You know, since we talked last, just within the last several months. You know, we had President Trump getting shot at Butler, Pennsylvania, by just the grace of God. He is still with us today. We had the Republican National Convention there in Milwaukee, which was a great unifying event, I thought, for the entire party.
Yes.
Then we had President Biden pull out. Kamala Harris, without putting her name on any ballot, has now been anointed as the Democratic nominee. We're in the process of the Democrat VP selection as we continue to monitor things going on across the globe, particularly in the Middle East. So there's a lot going on right now. In D.C., internationally, and then we've got some great things happening over in Meridian on Thursday with ribbon cutting for the KC-135 simulator there at Key Field.
Now that's interesting. The simulator, which, by the way, when it was here in Meridian the first time, I literally had the pleasure of being able to experience and fly that simulator. But why was it taken away from Meridian?
You know, that was a decision made by the Air Force, not by the Guard itself, but by Big Air Force. That happened before my time in office.
Right.
But, I'm just glad to say that we have been able to work, and I say we, state, local, federal, civilian, military, we've been able to work to bring that simulator back to Meridian. And
Good
so
deal.
that is going to continue to help further the mission there that we see of the 186. It's going to help economically, Roger, because we're going to have guardsmen and active duty officers from across the country come to Meridian to train on that simulator. And so that's going to be a big boost to the 186 as we are trying to position the 186 for the for the KC-46, which is the next generation of tankers. And you and I have talked about that before.
Yeah.
That is the process that the Air Force is going through right now as they are grading and rating bases because they're going to roll out the next generation of tankers. And our goal as a congressional delegation is try to position Mississippi so that we are very competitive when that process continues along the way. And it's been a slow process. It has been delayed multiple times, but I think the delays actually work in our favor. We've got additional resources that the legislature has given there in Meridian to make us more competitive as far as the infrastructure that we have there. And I think that if this continues on until early next year, it helps Mississippi because if Republicans retake the Senate, which I think we have a great chance to do, then Senator Wicker becomes chairman of Armed Services in the U.S. Senate, and I think he would be able to have a greater influence over the Air Force's decision.
I hear you. Now, and I guess, are they talking timeline about how far out is the possibility of the KC-46?
You know, again, they have pushed back several times. They have done the initial base assessment there in Meridian and also have done the initial base assessment. I think there's, if I'm not mistaken, 15 bases total that are in the running. We have been told that at some point the Air Force will cut those 15 bases down to somewhere around 4 or 5 bases.
Yeah.
And then at that point, they'll actually do some on base. They'll come to the base for roughly a week or so, spend time in the base, time in the community. And so that would be a time for us to rally the community for support of these new platforms. And so sometime probably between now and the end of the year. But again, we've been told various dates. Generally, those dates pass without a decision being made. And so, again, at this point, I'm fine if they pass this whole process until next year, because I think we'll be better positioned early next year than we are right now.
Gotcha. All right, so it's the ribbon cutting at the 186, and it'll be this Thursday. And Congressman Guest coming to town for that. So that's exciting that we're getting, or as I like to put it, Congressman, we're getting our simulator back.
That's right. It's coming back home. That's right.
It.
We're welcoming you back home.
Yeah. So what's the scuttle among the congressmen about the presidential race? You know, we're talking about our good convention and what's going on in the Democrat Party. What's the projection? What's the talk out there about our possibilities on the Republican side gaining the White House in November?
You know, I think what we see right now is Kamala Harris is kind of in that honeymoon phase with. You know, for a long period of time, Republicans have been focused on Joe Biden. Everybody believed that he was going to be the nominee. He wanted to be the nominee, but he was ultimately forced out by his party. Kamala Harris kind of puts a new spin on that. But what we have to do as Republicans is we have to remind everyone of Kamala Harris's true roots. When she was in the U.S. Senate, she was voted as the most liberal United States senator at that time, more liberal than Bernie Sanders, than Elizabeth Warren, than Chuck Schumer, and she's now being painted by the media, the national media, as somewhat of a moderate, that she's not really that progressive, and those aren't her views and those aren't her positions. And so I think that we as Republicans, we have to educate people. We have to remind people of who Kamala Harris is and what Kamala Harris actually stands for and believes in. And then we've got to focus on the issues. I think when we focus on the issues, we win every day. Those issues are immigration, growing the economy, reducing inflation, lowering energy costs, renewing the Trump tax cuts. Those are issues that we can run on every day that are going to resonate with the American people. In my opinion, those are the issues that we should be focused on between now and November the 5th over the next 90-some-odd days, because that's what's going to not only win us the White House, but that's what's going to win us the Senate and going to help us to grow our majority in the House of Representatives.
Good. You know, but Congressman, the numbers are there as far as Republican voters in all these swing states. If we just get them out to the polls, I'm encouraged to see that there's a lot of money being, infused into the party about, early voting and trying to make sure that the harvested ballots hopefully have the R word on them instead of the D word.
That's right. You know, this is something that Republicans have begun adopting. For a long time, we were skeptical of early voting, and we encouraged people not to vote early, to wait till Election Day. But I think we've made progress in that issue. And look, what we want is we want people to vote and their votes to be counted, whether you vote early or vote on Election Day, really is indifferent now to the party. We just want to make sure that we turn our people out. And look, we've got a great ticket. I think everyone knows Donald Trump. They know his policies. I think everyone would have to agree that under Donald Trump, that they were better off than they are under President Joe Biden. And look, I'm also excited about J.D. Vance. I know a lot of people aren't in the media. He's been attacked. I think he's been attacked, Roger, because I think people are scared of him, and they're scared of him because he has an amazing story to tell. I mean, it's the American dream. He grew up with a mother who suffered from addiction, was raised by his grandmother. He joined the military, went to school on the GI Bill, took out college loans, put himself through Yale Law School, became a successful businessman, and then was elected to the United States Senate. And he's got a book and a movie written about his life. And this young man is just right at 40 years old. He's married to the daughter of first-generation immigrants. And so, I mean, if you look at his story, he has so much to tell. And I think that's one reason he has been attacked like he has by the media, is they want to focus their attention not on the great things that he's accomplished, but maybe on a comment or two that he made 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago. And so I think that Vance Trump ticket, I think, is a winning ticket, but we've got to get out and we've got to focus on these handful of battleground states, these 6, 7, 8 states out there that every year are going to decide the election. Ohio, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, Georgia, North Carolina, Arizona, Nevada. Those are going to be the states that are going to decide this election. And what we need to do, I believe, is we need to focus our message on 3 key demographics. Those that are independent voters that don't identify with one party or the other, the moderate Democrats out there who are sick and tired of Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, flood of immigrations, bad economy, can't afford groceries, can't afford to pay their bills. And then it's the Nikki Haley Republicans out there, those Republicans, that small sliver of our party who did not vote for Donald Trump in the Republican primary. And if we can do well with those 3 groups of people in these swing states, we will win the White House. And now if we win the White House, those same swing voters will also give us control of the U.S. Senate and make sure that we can maintain control of the House of Representatives. And at that point, we can then change the direction of this country.
Congressman Gestis, Rob, I have to ask about Israel. I know everything is kind of really just teetering over there right now, but I know you were probably in the chamber when Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu made his joint address, about a week or so ago, just to kind of get your thoughts on that. And that speech I watched, I thought it was very powerful. Just want to get your take on that.
Yeah, and I agree with your assessment. I was there in the chamber. I thought that was a very powerful speech that he gave. Probably one of the better speeches that I've heard delivered there before a joint session of Congress. And I thought he did a great job of actually praising both parties, praising Republicans, praising Democrats. But he talked about that ironclad relationship that the U.S. and Israel have, that Israel's enemies are America's enemies, that Israel's victories are America's victories. He really focused on Iran because we know that many of the attacks that we see, while they may not be carried out by Iran directly, they're carried out by the proxy organizations, the terrorist groups that Iran not only funds, but many times that they have control over. And so I thought it was a great uniting speech. I would tell you that it was very well attended by Republicans. There was not really a seat available on the Republican side. I was disappointed that many of my Democratic colleagues chose to boycott that speech. But we must continue to stand with Israel. They are our closest ally in the Middle East. We know that as we speak now, it appears that Iran and their proxies are gearing up for a major assault against Israel. And I hope that we are prepared once again to come to their defense and to give them the resources that they need to not only repel this offense that is about to occur, but also to take out some of these groups who are seeking to cause them harm.
And of course, Hezbollah attacked our folks down in Iraq also.
Yeah.
So,
that's right. We had a rocket attack on one of our military bases yesterday. There were several injured. And again, these are the groups that Iran is funding. And so not only is it important that we defeat these terrorist organizations, but it's important, I think, that we continue to maintain economic, political pressure on Iran and isolate them as much as we possibly can.
Good deal. Congressman Michael Guest, we want to say thank you for taking time to be with us this morning and bringing us up to date. We welcome you in advance to Meridian for the ribbon cutting.
Yeah.
Looking forward to your visit. If you want to get up really early and come over here from Jackson and come to the studio, you're more than welcome.
Well, look, I appreciate it. I may just call in again, so otherwise I'll be up about 4 a.m. headed your direction. But look, thank you guys. Y'all have been great to kind of continue to let us talk about the things that are going on again, not only nationally, but to highlight some of the things going on in East Mississippi. And we greatly appreciate your friendship, and we look forward to continuing, hopefully between now and November the 5th to come on, and we can talk about where we see these national elections shaping up.
Sure.
Because I do think that we will see particularly after Labor Day, as more people kind of become engaged and really start turning their attention. I think you're going to start seeing some of the polling numbers move. I think we're going to have a much better idea as to the true race that we're going to be facing with Kamala Harris in her honeymoon phase, with the national media not really talking about who she is. It's going to take a little while for us to be able to get that message out, but I think we've got time to do it in time to define her between now and November the 5th.
Best strategy for that is get a microphone in front of her.
Oh, man.
That's
Let her
right,
speak.
no doubt. Yes, sir. Well, and if you'll notice, she has done 0 press conferences and now almost 3 weeks.
Yeah,
So,
16 days, yeah.
Yeah, I think they're taking the Joe Biden approach when he ran the first time. Keep him in his basement, don't let him get out, don't let anybody see him. I think that they're looking at this point to have done the same thing with her. They're not letting her out. They're not letting her make public appearances because when she gets out and speaks, those word salads that come out, it just baffles everybody. And so I think that that's kind of the approach that we're seeing right now. But I'd love to see her out doing what Donald Trump is doing, which is hosting town halls, which is doing interviews, which is reminding people of the policies that he wants to put in place, instead of her just continuing to hide in the White House and have a few press releases and not let people actually see her and not have her talk about what her agenda would be, because I think if the American people learn about the agenda that she would be advocating for as the President of the United States, I think many of us would see that is not the direction that we think this country should take.
All right, very good. Michael Guest, appreciate you being out there representing us, and thank you for being accessible. And, of course, if you will, as always, please convey to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez that she still has a open invitation to come on our show and be interviewed.
Anytime.
Will do. Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate it.
Thank you,
Have
sir.
a great day.
You too.
All right, thank you.
Bye.
You got to think.